What's up people, welcome to another Arcane afternoon. The Lovecraft event is live for 2 weeks and it is energy based. The new blood weapons are here, but first let's have a look at the tier and leaderboard rewards. For bronze tier you get 2 golden love elixirs and a heart flame cloth banner. Again, this event is live for 2 weeks and it does not reset after 1 week. The only 2 events that reset every week are the Halloween event and the winter event. For silver tier you get a lovebird title and 2 golden love elixirs. For gold tier you get the Ember Heart's pet, 5 awakening gems, the fleeting love farmer's elixir, a jewel chest and 2 golden love elixirs. The Ember Heart pet actually has pretty decent stats for a legendary egg. If you're new to the game, the happiness bonus is actually really good and you can definitely use this happiness bonus. Now let's have a look at the platinum tier rewards. You get 2 love letters. You need these to fight the Cthulhu Prime boss in the event map. Then you get a love rocket wisp, but this one is not tradable for some reason. I don't understand why it's not tradable. It should be tradable in my opinion. Because it's not tradable, you can't make any gold off of this. Then you get a fleeting love farmer's mega pack. There's 5 fleeting elixirs in this pack. Then you get 10 awakening gems, a jewel chest and 2 golden love elixirs. Overall the tier rewards are pretty bad. If at least the wisp was tradable it would be alright. The way it is right now it's actually pretty bad. Now let's have a look at the leaderboard rewards. For top 50 you get a heart flame banner, 5 elite awakening gems and a precise finesse jewel. This banner looks pretty cool, but because it's a top 50 reward it might only be worth about 10 million gold. Even these top 10 temple banners seem to be worth less than 50 million gold, so I really can't see this top 50 Lovecraft banner be worth more than 10 million gold. So in total the top 50 rewards are only worth about 20 million gold, which is not that good. Now let's have a look at the top 25 rewards. You also get the same banner, 10 elite awakening gems and lovebird wings. These wings are pretty weird. I don't really like how they look. These are definitely not the best wings. Maybe they will be worth about 20 to 30 million gold. And the flawless jewel is worth about 35 million gold. For the top 10 rewards you also get the top 50 banner, a blind love title which is tradable. Then you get a corrupted finesse jewel, 50 bound elite awakening gems. You also get the top 25 lovebird wings. You get a blind love top 10 badge. And the best item that you get is the vanity weapons. You actually get 3 different vanity weapons for each type of weapon. And this is a top 10 reward. Here you can see all of the different vanity weapons for the top 10 leaderboard rewards. Now let's have a look at the token vendor. The first thing you can buy is a love elixir for 10 event tokens. Then you can buy a parchment paper. This is usually the best item that you can buy for event tokens. It costs a lot of gold and you need this parchment paper to craft the love letter for the Cthulhu Prime. Then we get a locked Cthulhian vanity crate, and it seems we get a lot of these vanity crates recently. And in this vanity crate you can loot this blind love helmet, the blind love armor. This armor looks pretty cool actually. I don't know about the helmet, it looks a little weird. The armor actually looks pretty cool with the heart on the chest. Then the rogue helmet and the rogue armor, and here again the armor looks pretty cool. And there's 2 auras in this crate. This is the first aura. It looks pretty interesting, but I think this is an aura that you wouldn't really use. And the second aura is the Clouded Hearts aura, and this is just super ugly. This might actually be the ugliest aura in the entire game. We can quickly check the auction and see if they are in there. The arrow aura is not in the auction, but maybe the hearts aura is in the auction. This is actually really ugly and I'm sure this will drop in price a lot. Next up we have the locked Cthulhian crate, and in these locked are the new blood weapons. First I have to say these blood weapons, especially the chakrams, look amazing. These look really cool. Hopefully we get a vanity of these at some point. And this is what the blood chainsword looks like. All 3 of the weapons have basically the same proc. You charge attack on a boss and it will apply a dot damage for 7 seconds with a 10-second cooldown. These weapons already got a buff yesterday. Originally it was 5 seconds for the dot duration and they buffed it to 7 seconds, and they also increased the damage. I haven't tried the procs yet, but the procs should do a little more damage than the Kraken bow, the Kraken gun and the Kraken sword now. And another thing we can see here, it says attack scales with dexterity and strength. We already have something similar with the blood artifact. If we have a look at the blood artifact proc, we can see it says these crystals deal damage to nearby enemies using an equal combination of your strength, dexterity, and intelligence stats. So the more primary stats you have, the more damage your blood artifact and your blood weapons will do. But now we have to look at the damage that these weapons give. And unfortunately, rogues got a massive nerf with these new blood weapons. This is for sure the biggest nerfs rogues have gotten in the entire history of Arcane Legends. And it's just super sad. And the problem is the base damage that these weapons give. As you should know, the more base damage you have on your damage set, the more damage you will do. And all three of these new weapons have by far the highest base damage for all classes. So all classes will use these weapons on their damage set. But unfortunately, rogues got by far the smallest damage buff with these new blood weapons. And the mages and the warriors got a way bigger damage buff. And I will show you the stats in a moment. You should be aware that rogues are by far the worst class at the moment, and they have been the worst class for a few years now. Someone just subscribed and I got a notification on my OBS. Well, again, right now rogues have by far the worst mob clear out of all three classes. Mages and warriors can clear mobs way better than rogues can. Rogues used to be and still are the least tankiest class out of all three classes. We did get the 2 seconds invulnerability on the Razor Shield not too long ago, but considering mages have a permanent shield, they are still more tanky than rogues. So rogues have the worst mob clear, they're the least tankiest class. Rogues and mages together have the worst ultimate. The warrior, rage and immortal ultimates are about 1 trillion times better than the rogue and mage ultimates, and this has been the case since the ultimates came out. The warrior, rage and immortal ultimates are about 1 trillion times better than the mage and rogue ultimates. Warriors basically have unlimited damage and they're invincible while the ultimate is active, and it's just super unfair. It is actually somewhat okay that rogues have the worst mob clear. It is also somewhat okay that rogues are the least tankiest class. It is also somewhat okay that rogues don't have the best ultimate. But the problem is that rogues, even before these blood weapons came out, already had the worst single target damage out of all three classes. And this is just super ridiculous. Mages and warriors had about 50% more single target damage than rogues with elemental sets. And I will show you the stats now for these new blood weapons. Mages and warriors got a humongous buff for these weapons compared to the rogues. It's just super ridiculous. Now let's have a look at the damage increase that we get with the new blood weapons for all of the classes. And we will be comparing the new blood weapons with the beast version of these weapons. So with the beast chakrams, rogues have 1222 DPS. You can see this in-game on your weapons, it says 1222 DPS. And now the new blood chakrams give 1706 DPS. This means we have a damage increase of 39.6% for rogue. This sounds really amazing and this sounds very OP, but if we have a look at the other classes, you will see that this is nothing compared to how much more damage mages and warriors gained. The beast orb had 947 DPS and now the new blood orb has 1522 DPS. This means mages got a damage increase of 60.7% and rogues only got a 39.6% damage increase. Even though mages already have way more single target damage than rogues have. And now let's have a look at the warrior weapons. Warriors used the beast chainsword on their damage set before, and this one has 933 damage, and now the new blood chainsword has 1565 DPS. This means warriors actually got a damage increase of 67.7%. Warriors and mages already are better than rogues in everything. They're more tanky, they have better mob clear. Warriors have an ultimate that is about 1 trillion times better. They already have about 50% more single target damage than rogues. The single target damage is supposed to be the one thing that rogues are supposed to be good at. On top of that, instead of buffing rogues damage with these new blood weapons, warriors and mages get a humongous damage buff. rogues get 39.6% more damage, but mages get 60.7% and warriors get 67.7%. This already means that rogues are completely dead. Just imagine me as the #1 rogue in the game. I'm the #1 rogue 2022, 2023, 2024, and also I just placed #1 rogue in 2025 in the temple event. Me as the best player in the game with the best gears, the best rogue, any random mage or warrior can literally do twice the single target damage that I can do as a rogue. Even though this is already super insane that mages and warriors get such a huge damage buff compared to rogues, it actually gets even worse. Even though you would think it cannot get worse than this, it actually gets worse. Because rogues were not actually using beast chakrams on their damage set, they used the rusk bow on their damage set, which gives more damage. So the actual damage increase from the rusk bow to the new blood chakrams is not 39.6%, it's only about 20 to 25% damage increase for rogues. Again, rogues have by far the worst single target damage, and they get, let's say, a 25% damage increase with the new blood chakrams, but mages get a 60% damage increase and warriors get a 67.7% damage increase, while rogues only get a 25% damage increase as by far the weakest class. And it actually gets even worse for rogues, because if we have a look at the Ascendant Bloodstar weapons, we can see the stats that all of these weapons get for each level from level 1 to level 10 for the blood chakrams, the blood chainsword and the orb. All of the stats for all classes are the exact same, besides one stat, and it is the damage stat. Rogues at level 1 get 855 damage, and at level 10 we get 870 damage. If we now have a look at the blood chainsword at level 1, they also get 855 damage, but at level 10 they get 900 damage instead of 870 that the rogues get. And it's the same thing for the blood orb, they also get 900 instead of 870 damage. This means that the blood chainsword and the blood orb get another 30 damage more than the blood chakrams. It doesn't sound like a lot, but 30 damage is about 5% total more damage. This means that rogues again get about 25% more damage with the new blood chakrams. Mages get not 60.7%, they actually get about 65% more damage with the new blood orb. And warriors actually get about 72% more damage with the new blood chainsword. It just keeps getting worse for rogues the further we get into it. The damage difference is even bigger than I showed. It actually gets even worse. If we have a look at the blood chainsword, we can see they get crit chance. It's the same for the rogues, but you have to consider rogues are already a long time at the maximum crit chance. This means that warriors get more crit chance now with each level, with each new gear. Same to the mages. So warriors and mages also get more damage for the increased crit chance, and rogues don't get anything. It doesn't matter how much crit chance it says here for rogues, we get no damage increase because we are a long time already at the maximum crit chance. So if we also factor in the crit chance and the increased damage that warriors and mages get for the Ascendant versions, rogues who already had by far the lowest single target damage get about 25% damage increase with the new blood chakrams, and mages get about 70% damage increase and warriors get about 75% damage increase. For anyone who doesn't understand what this means that rogues are far beyond useless now. Rogues are so incredibly weak, it is so incredibly unfair, and it is actually completely over for rogues. Rogues will never be able to recover from this. What should be done now is that rogues should get at least another 30% damage buff on the blood chakrams, but there is about a 0% chance that this will happen. Maybe rogues will get a 5% or even 10% damage increase, but there's no chance the devs will ever give rogues another like 30% or 40% or 50% damage increase what they should be getting. This means rogues are completely useless now, but this also means rogues will be completely useless for the next years, because rogues are so far behind on damage now, which means that rogues will not be able to recover from this at least for many years to come. Rogues will be by far the worst class. And this is just super sad. Me as the leader of all rogues, there's nothing I can do here at this point. I've really tried my best for years now that rogues have been the worst class, but it just keeps getting worse. Now is the time where we completely lost the battle now. It's fully over for rogues. I really cannot blame anyone anymore at this point of switching classes. I actually believed in rogues. I thought with the new blood weapons, rogues will finally be good again, but this is by far the worst scenario. Basically, mages and warriors who already had way more single target damage than rogues just got a 50% total damage buff. A pretty good comparison would be that rogues are currently at level 86 and mages and warriors are already at level 96 or level 101 with full maxed arcane gears for that level. That's how unfair it is right now for rogues. So anyways, I don't want to talk about this any longer. It's just super depressing. And this is officially the end for all rogues. There's one more important thing from yesterday's update. Not only did the blood weapons get a longer duration and get more damage with their procs, but also all of the Kraken and beast weapons got standardized proc attack rates. I can quickly show you what this means in Elite Auric. I equipped my Kraken daggers and I will proc them, and you will see they do damage about every second. Every second they do one tick. All of the Kraken weapons now tick once a second, and before this update there were Kraken weapons that ticked about 2 to 3 times a second. Basically all of the Kraken weapons now do less damage than they did before, and the same thing happened to the beast weapons as well. So the Kraken weapons got nerfed and the new blood weapons got buffed. Now let's have a look at the rest of the token vendor. You can buy the new Arcanite Emberheart's egg for 999 platinum. This pet for the happiness bonus has 80 primary stat, 20 all stats, 25% crit damage, 30% haste and 35% damage stacking. This is overall a pretty good happiness bonus. The passive ability is pretty bad and the arcane ability is alright, it's not really good. Then you can buy the Laugh badge for 10,000 event tokens. This badge was already at the token vendor in the past 1 or 2 years. And the last thing you can buy are these house monsters for 100 platinum each. Now let's have a look at the crafting, and there's many vanities that you can craft. Let's quickly go through all of them, and firstly the bow, and this bow looks really cool I have to say. Then the chainsword, which looks alright. Then the chakrams, which also look really cool. The laugh daggers are really cool, they're really big. Usually daggers for rogues are really small. I'm still hoping to get a spear weapon again for the daggers. There is still only one spear weapon in the entire game. Then the laugh gun and the laugh orb. The laugh shield looks pretty decent. The laugh staff is pretty ugly. The laugh sword is alright. And here is the Clouded Hearts halo. This halo is probably the ugliest halo in the entire game now. It's supposed to be Clouded Hearts, but this looks like someone took a dump on top of my head. The next halo that you can craft is the Dancing Hearts halo. And this halo is actually pretty cool, but the problem is this halo is 2D, so from the front it's just flat and you don't see anything. But this halo is actually pretty cool. It would have been better if this halo was 3D instead of 2D. Then you can craft the love letters for the Cthulhu Prime. You can craft the Love Rocket backpack. Then you can craft the Lover's Bloom wisp. This wisp is actually pretty cool. Then you can craft the Pure Love armor, and you can craft the Pure Love helm. These helmets look like they were not finished, they just look horrible. Now let's have a look at the event map and do one run of the map. It's still the same map as every year, but this year you can loot 2 new gold loot jewels from the event boss. One of the jewels gives 10% gold loot and the other one gives maybe 20%. But to be able to loot this jewel, you have to use the Fleeting Love Elixir. The first jewel gives 10% gold loot and the second jewel gives 25% gold loot. I just checked and it seems that you can only loot these new jewels from the Merfkin bosses, from the mini bosses. The 10% gold loot from the normal Merfkin, and the 25% gold loot one you can only loot from the golden Merfkin, and you have to use the Farmer's Elixir. One person from my investment academy on my Discord server already looted one of the 10% gold loot jewels, and he was actually able to sell it for 70 million gold in the auction. That's an insane price. I would have thought they would sell for a lot less, but if you can get 70 million for just one of these jewels, You might actually be able to make a lot of gold just running the event, going for the leaderboard and just looting these jewels on the side. Alright, this is already it with the video. I hope you enjoyed it and I will see you in the next one. Bye.